What's up? So it is official. Morata is an AC Milan player. This is good news for Milan. At the end of the day, Morata is a very experienced player that has played in top level teams and just won a tournament with Spain as the captain of the team. He's a player that knows the Serie A pretty well already. And it's a good replacement for Giroud. Essentially, that's what we're talking about. It is pretty much the same player, in so to speak. Both players come into Milan at a similar age. Giroud was a little bit older when he came to AC Milan, but just by a few years. Morata is 31. I compared Morata's numbers to Giroud's numbers. Giroud had more numbers, more goal contributions last season than Morata did. So essentially, we are replacing Giroud with a player just like Giroud, Morata. This doesn't mean that the team is any better. It doesn't mean that the team has gotten better. It doesn't mean that the team has gotten worse. It's pretty much the team stays the same. The numbers stay the same. The kind of player is the same. So it is our first official signing of the season. It is a signing that, generally speaking, is not very impressive. It is a player that was not happy at Atletico Madrid. He was not happy with the way he was being treated. I mean, while he was playing at Atletico Madrid, the fans, the environment was very critical towards him, the same way Giroud also got a lot of criticism. So for the Atletico Madrid fans, I think there was a lot of that going on. As a matter of fact, there's a video that just came out of Morata on the bus parading the victory of the Euros, where he throws a plastic glass at someone that had a sign saying that Morata can't score goals. So he's getting a lot of criticisms in Spain, and it seems like he kind of wants to get out of that environment. From what I'm gathering, it seems like there's a little bit of friction between Morata and what's going on in Spain. I guess with Atletico Madrid, etc. I know that he got a lot of criticism after the Dortmund game, and that's when it seems like things broke down. After the Dortmund game, and things like that, seems like that's when the relationship broke down. So we got to be honest in our analysis. We're getting a player that is good, is experienced, but is not Van Basten. We're not getting Van Basten here. We're not getting the best of Europe, the best in the world. We're getting a reliable player that is a professional, that will pretty much do what Giroud did. We saw him with Juventus. He had some good moments with Juve. He had some good moments in Italy. We saw him on the Serie A. At that time, from what I read recently, Milan was also interested in him, but he cost a lot, and we couldn't afford him, or we didn't choose to get him when more or less during the time when Juventus got him. But we saw Morata in Italy, so we know what to expect. Again, the attack is not the issue. This signing doesn't change anything. The problem is the defensive structure of the team, and that's where things need to change. If you want to win the Serie A, if you want to be competitive in the Serie A, that's what you got to figure out. Last season, we scored in all competition 99 goals. So even if we score 120, it doesn't really matter. What matters is not conceding goals. And this is really going to be the test. This is really going to be the test that Fonseca will have to pass. Can he create a system that doesn't concede goals? Are the players willing to fight till the last shed of sweat, shed of blood? Are they willing to sacrifice for each other? Is there a cause? Is there a purpose to all of it? Can Fonseca transmit those kind of emotions to the player? That kind of duty, sense of duty towards the shirt. That is going to be the real test, and that's why I don't really fall for the market unless the market is exciting. Right now, the market so far is pretty much normal. It's status quo, just maintaining the status quo, nothing else. Um, I don't see much improvement being made with the players that we're getting or that we want to get. Maybe better options if we can land, especially for Fana, I think, for the midfield. That definitely can help Fonseca with solidifying the midfield because that's going to be the more important aspect of it all. Being able to solidify the midfield and the defense. The defender Pavlovich coming in, and they want to get that guy. Yeah, he's very physical, but on the ball, he seems to be a little bit of a liability. And I don't understand this signing because if you want to create a system that is based essentially on defending with the ball, you need to have players that are very good at passing the ball. For me, based on how Fonseca wants to play, I think the defense next year is going to be Gabbia Tomori going all the way through. And this guy Pavlovich coming in, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But from what I've seen, I've looked at his highlights. I saw how he plays. He's very physical. He's very big. Very difficult to go around him because he knows how to use his big body and knows how to, get his way. But on the ball, very poor on the ball. I would say, like technically, kind of like a Sandaros. You guys remember Sandaros? He's very similar to Sandaros. So this is not a silky, classy defender that we're getting. A Scalvini would have been nice. If we could have gotten Scalvini, you get a really silky, silky defender that knows how to slide tackle, pass the ball, score goals, do everything. Pavlovich is more like an ogre, like a big ogre. He's a big ogre, and yeah, he can be useful. Let's see if he can be useful to the cause. My prediction, though, guys, remember what I said. My prediction is that next season the pairing is eventually going to be Gabbia Tomori. Gabbia especially is going to be the more important of these players because by the way Fonseca wants to play, he needs to have players that are good with the ball. He needs to have players that are very good at distribution, at knowing how to play short, knowing how to play long. And Gabbia is the best player in Milan that knows how to do that. Then also you have Chow. What's going on with Chow? We'll see. There's market for Chow, so we'll see. But I think it is going to be Gabbia Tomori. And maybe Kalulu is going to go on the right. Kalulu on the right gives me a sense that Fonseca is starting to think about balance, which is okay. But anyway, going back to Morata, it's a signing that hasn't really changed anything. And I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking which teams have really changed or have really gotten better in Serie A as of now, today. Right now, Inter is really the only team that, in my opinion, has really made a step forward, substantial step forward. Everybody else so far, you can debate, you can argue, you can say Juventus has gotten better. Well, we'll see. So far, if I look at the signings that they have gotten so far, Di Gregorio is just he's just subbed to Szczesny, so that's kind of like Morata Giroud. It's kind of like, okay, nothing changes there. They've just maintained quality in the goalkeeping department. Kefren Turam is young, so I don't know, we got to see how he adapts to Serie A. He's got potential, he's got good qualities, but he'll need time to adapt. David Luiz seems to be like a good player that improves their midfield, but they are losing Rabiot and McKennie. So I'm not convinced 100% that Juventus has gotten better as far as their roster. Thiago, we'll see. We'll see. And then Napoli, I think, yes, they have gotten better with the roster. Buongiorno and Spinazzola, but those are two big signings. They've definitely improved the roster so far. But the big one is Inter. Inter has taken a crazy step forward by maintaining the players they have and adding to the team Zielinski and Taremi. That puts Inter 5 steps ahead. That is the only team that has really made, so far, additions that have brought the team forward, that have made the team even better. Bringing in Morata doesn't make Milan better. It just keeps Milan similar to what we had with Giroud. The numbers in the end are going to be similar. Also, Giroud proved to be a player that could score in big games, right? In the season of the Scudetto, Giroud's goals against Inter, against Napoli, those are the games that won us the Scudetto. Don't listen to the people that want to discredit that season. And they say, whatever, Radu won us the Scudetto. No, that's not true. Giroud's goals against Inter and Napoli, because those were the two teams that were chasing us, that were playing for the Scudetto. Those goals against those two games told the story of the Giroud that was capable of scoring against big teams. So Morata, in order to be like Giroud, has to be similar. He has to score in big games against big teams and teams that mean something, against teams in games that mean something. So we need to discover this. But I think he probably does have those qualities, and I probably think he can do those things. But he has to do it. So yeah, as of today, which we are pretty much 2 weeks into the market, officially 2 weeks into the market, the only team that has really taken a serious step forward is obviously Napoli with Conte, Spinazzola, and Buongiorno. That's definitely a huge improvement from where they were last season, and Inter by adding Taremi and Zielinski. So far, Milan has done a good job at replacing Giroud, and they've sold a lot of players. A lot of players have gone out. Milan has done the U23 Futuro, which is good. That's a good thing. But as far as improving the squad from last year, honestly, the only slight improvement that I see well, if he can land at least one solid defensive midfielder, that should be an improvement. And if he can get another striker, but it depends on the names. It depends on the names. It really depends on the names, because the names could not make that much of a difference. And again, at the end of the day, the season is not about how many goals we can score or how many possession stats we can win. The most important stat will always be, forever and forever in the game of football, the defensive stats. How many goals do you concede? That is the number one most important stat in football. The stat that nobody gives a shit about, because people just want to see overhead kick goals. They want to see goals. Goals are exciting. But that's for the crowd. For the competitors, for the athletes, for the coaches, not conceding goals is really the most important thing. And so, yeah, we will see. We will see how the season is progressing. I maintain my prediction so far. that Fonseca is going to start strong, but then he's going to lose ground. Then there's going to be a period of crisis where he's going to change the formation. I'd predict his story at Milan to be similar to his story at Roma. That is today. Maybe things can change, but today, this is the way I'm seeing things going. Um, I see next season, as of now, completely being owned by Inter again. I think we might see a very similar season, unless Inter loses hunger or something. But Inter's team right now in Italy is just way too stronger than all the other teams. Um, and they're not done yet. They still need to get other players. Now let's see though, because they might lose some pieces and then things can balance out. There's still a long time before the market ends. Um, but I'm just talking about today. I'm not talking about tomorrow. I'm not talking about yesterday. I'm talking about today. When you look at the rosters, Inter is 5 steps ahead of everybody else. So, yeah, so we will see. I don't know. I hope Milan can really build a super strong team. But by the looks of it, I think nothing is ever going to change. The markets are always going to be more or less the same. A lot of bets, a lot of trying to look for players in foreign leagues where maybe they cost a little bit less and try to bring the price down even further. So if a player costs 20 million, Milan is going to say 10, and then so they can meet in the middle at 15. But I think that the market is more or less always going to be the same from now till the end of RedBird. I think it's always going to be the same thing. At the end of the day, the most important thing for RedBird is not winning trophies, is keeping the balance sheets sustainable. That is their trophy. If they can keep the club sustainable, whether we win trophies or not, it doesn't matter. And this way, the way they're operating the club right now, keeps it sustainable. So there is absolutely no need for them to increase the salary caps, increase spendings, because they have already met their objectives. RedBird has already met their objectives, and as long as they can maintain this line, they're happy. That's what is most important to them. So it's difficult to imagine a Milan that is going to increase the salary cap by 20 or 30 million. Remember, the teams we're competing against, their salary caps, I mean, when I say when we're competing with teams against in Europe for the Champions League, or even against Inter, for example, Inter's salary cap is almost 50 million more than us, right? It's almost 50 million more. That's a lot of money, dude. That's a lot of fucking money. 15 million, or so we are 80 something million. Inter's at 120 something million. So around 40 million, more precisely. And as long as Milan keeps their balance sheets green and they can keep a sustainable project where the players pay for themselves, essentially, and you mostly use your money with sales, the cash flow, and yeah, the operations are always going to be the same. I don't see anything changing. I don't see Milan going in to build a team that can really compete for the Champions League, can really say, yeah, we're going in to be a super team. We're going in to become the greatest team ever, you know. That is not going to happen. And the more we see it, the more we go through the process of the market every single year, it's always the same. It's continued to be the same. The only difference maybe Maldini was just he was just better at building teams, at creating group, at at giving the players a sense of duty, responsibility. But the methodology of the market has completely stayed the same. Nothing has changed, and it won't change. And now I'll repeat this one more time. Their method works for them. They have no reason to increase the salary cap, no reason to spend more money, because they have a team that should, in theory, guarantee them top four, and then the minimal objectives in Europe are going through the group stages. And if you don't go through the group stages, you have to finish third and go to the Europa League and at least reach the quarterfinals. This is what Maldini said that they told them the objectives were, and they haven't changed. They remained exactly the same. These are Maldini's words. He was told these are the objectives, minimal objectives, top four, Europa League quarterfinals. Those are the minimal objectives. So as long as they can achieve those minimal objectives and finish in the green, yeah, they win. That's a win. That's Jerry going to a seminar and saying how great his model is, how great his financial model is. There you go. That's what this is. That's why I am disappointed, because I don't get to see my favorite team be the team that it ought to be. But whatever. That's maybe I shouldn't be so selfish. But yeah. So now let's see whatever players are going to come. It looks like the Emerson Royale situation is fading. Fofana, we'll see. I know that there's other teams that are going to look into Fofana. And today or the other day, Atletico Madrid. I hope Fofana chooses Milan, but some of these other teams right now are appealing destinations, and they do pay more. There is no such thing as keep the salary cap low at 86. Actually, I wonder what the salary cap at Atletico Madrid is. I'm assuming it's more than Milan, because they pay their players more than Milan. Atletico Madrid is definitely a team that can be a problem in the market if they also go in for Fofana and maybe Liverpool, because I remember reading Liverpool too. But anyway, so we'll see what happens with Fofana. Pavlovich, as I said, this is I'm not so fond of this operation. I don't think he is a bad player. I would just prefer better players. And that's pretty much it. Then there's talk of Fulkrug joining Morata. I'm interested to see if that happens. But as far as the market today, the only official thing is we have Morata, and you know what? It's good. It's not bad. What's up, Kim? How you doing? 3:34. Damn. Late. What's up? As I said, Morata brings experience, but can't be the main CP. Need another CF. Need another younger CF, a true goal scorer. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. They should try and. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Herbert, what's up? I mean, I know we kind of laughed about it when Herbert said it, but Osimhen, that's a guy. If you really want to be that team, you go for Osimhen, right? Osimhen. If Furlani, Moncada, Ibra didn't get the players before going to America, they should resign. Yeah, they're not going to be able to get all those players before. Some players are going to come. Fofana, we'll see what happens with Fofana. Plus, Fofana is not a 6. Pavlovich is a risk. What is Fofana? What is Fofana? So basically, as far as Fofana goes, I looked at his sheet, his stat sheet. Transfer Market says he's a defensive midfielder. His heat map, I saw his heat map from last season. It is pretty much a defensive, like it's all round a midfielder essentially. Like he plays essentially in a square, in that square in the middle of the pitch between the two boxes. He pretty much covers all of that space pretty evenly, and that is usually what a central defensive or central midfielder does. Um, so he's playing in Salzburg. Come on, this Mercato is dead. Yeah, I'm not. Look, he definitely has qualities, Pavlovich. He does. He definitely has. He looks like he probably should be a basketball player, honestly. But yeah, it's not. Come on, like we should be doing much better than Pavlovich if we really want to make a statement here. At a certain point, this is the thing. I'm not going to play this game that I'm going to pretend that the players we get are phenoms if they're not. But again, I'm not saying Pavlovich is a bad player. Like he's a good player. Like he can come in and be a good player. But I'm just saying we should be doing much better. That's all I'm saying. So far, all we hear are either rumors or Milan falls in negotiations, then jumps to a lesser quality player. Yeah, I think it's always going to be that. We're always going to go for a main target, but then it becomes really difficult to get a main target. So we have to either resort to, like Morata, right? Like low release clause, player that's disgruntled. He wants to leave his club. He has expressed he wants to come back to Italy. Juventus doesn't want him. Juventus doesn't want him. He doesn't want to go down to play to Roma. He doesn't want. I mean, Inter has Taremi already. Inter doesn't need Morata. He said he wouldn't play in Inter also. So Milan is an easy destination for him. Morata is not an impressive buy. I'm not going to hear and act as if these guys are geniuses for getting Morata. Morata actually was one of the easiest targets you could get. If you can't even get Morata, then you need to resign. If you can't even get Morata, then you need to resign. Morata was easy. The guy wanted to come to Italy, be close to the north. He didn't want to be in the south. It was easy. It doesn't cost much. Don't want Simic to leave. Yeah, so it looks like Simic might be going to Anderlecht. Sour taste for sure. I like Simic. I liked what I saw in the youth team. I think this player, Simic, is a player that, yeah, he's not maybe ready to be a starter for a Champions League team today. Sure. But he definitely will become in a few years for sure. So selling him right now is what was the point of even getting him if you're going to sell him right now for 3 million? But yeah, they want to get Pavlovich instead. So that's what happens. The question is with Morata and the other names, do we reduce the gap within? No, not at all. Right now, no. I mean, we'll see who we get. But right now, we're not reducing any gaps. Right now, Inter increased the gap. The thing is that I'm not convinced Inter is going to keep all of their players. Maybe they are going to eventually lose Lautaro Martinez. Maybe they are going to lose Çalhanoğlu. It's either one of these two players that they might end up losing. But if they can keep those players and have, in addition, and then also there's a rumor that they want to get Rodriguez to cover for Buchanan. That's crazy depth. If they can even get Rodriguez to cover for Buchanan, that's a lot of depth. That's a lot of depth. That's a lot of depth. But I don't know. As far as what they have done so far with Zielinski and Taremi, that's a huge injection. That's a lot of quality that they injected in their team. Compare the signings Juve, Inter, Napoli to Milan tells you how bad we are in managing Mercato beforehand. Bad decisions makes no courage moving forward. Yeah, yeah. Look, I'm curious about Juve. I want to see how Thiago Motta reacts with Juve. Napoli, you would expect Napoli with Conte to do well, but if they have problems, especially in the beginning, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised if Juve has problems in the beginning. As far as Milan goes, I think Milan has an advantage over these other two teams, Juventus and Napoli, is that Fonseca pretty much plays almost identical to Pioli. There's just some differences in the fullbacks, but more or less the philosophy and the style of play is very similar. So Milan is not really changing its skin. It's just playing the same way, but with a different coach, with a few different other things that he does. But Juventus, they're going, they're doing a completely different thing. Thiago Motta is completely different from Allegri, so they have to rearrange the system there. The players have to get used to a completely new system. And same thing with Napoli. Napoli is going to be a completely new system with Conte. So Milan has the advantage of not really having to change that much its skin. So I think, in my opinion, Milan's probably going to start the season strong, but I think it's towards the middle and the end that I fear. That's what I fear, and maybe that's where the other teams might start to gain their strength. Good morning. What's up, Al Capone? This morning, the rumor is Samardzic from Udinese. Why? For who? What? We might as well keep Maldini then. Why do we need Samardzic? How they are operating, it is just a yeah, it is just a continuation of that. Correct. Sustainability. Hey, what's up? What's up, Roy? This methodology is good for a mid-table club, not a club like Milan. With all, yes, we need to be treating Milan like Real Madrid. We need to be Real Madrid. That's who we are. Real Madrid. Milan is that kind of club. Like, for some of us, it's disappointing. For other people, they don't care. They're just happy. Whatever is whatever. But for some of us, we kind of have this hunger to be the best, to see Milan fight to be number one, because like I don't know, maybe because some of us have seen it and that's how we lived the experience of being Milan fans. How much time you're willing to stay quiet before judging Fonseca this season? Also, do you think we will perform better this season, considering Fonseca giving priority to physical fitness? How much time you're willing to stay quiet before judging Fonseca? No, I think Fonseca is probably going to start strong. I'm curious to see how he plays. I mean, Inter comes up. He's got Lazio and Inter coming up really soon. So maybe not so strong. Who knows? My prediction today is that Fonseca is going to have the exact same thing that happened with him and Roma. Same thing. He's going to come in super confident that the team is going to play this incredible football and is going to dominate every single team, and we're going to win the ball back in their own midfield every time, and nobody's is going to even be able to take shots on our goals. But then we're going the complete opposite is going to happen. I don't believe in him. I don't believe in the project. I don't believe in the ownership. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. If he can prove me wrong, great. But I just don't believe in the project. I don't believe in the ownership. I don't believe in this way of doing things. Fana is an 8. An 8. Well, what is an 8, guys? Like, a CM. He's not definitely not a box to box because I mean, unless SofaScore or Transfer Market is lying. From the highlights I watched about Fana, I didn't see him getting down to get the ball and give it left and right. What I saw is a destroyer, an offensive player. So you're saying he's like a Loftus Cheek? That's what you're saying. Well, guys, Transfer Market and SofaScore said that he played as a defensive midfielder. All right, like or a central midfielder. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'll take your word for it. How about that? What's up, Falcon fan? How you doing, brother? Well, Simic wants to leave, by the way, and the report say he wants guaranteed playing time in his senior team. Yeah, he's right. He feels ready to play, so he wants to go. So if player doesn't want to stay, there's only so much you can do. Yeah, he wants to go. He wants to play. He doesn't want to play in Serie A. And here we are getting Pavlovich. Just put in Simic in there. Put in Simic. Put in Simic. But yeah, we'll see. Honestly, I think Milan should be able to finish in the top four. I really want to see if they can surpass Inter. That's the big one. Napoli, Juventus. I'm curious to see what happens with them. I'm very curious to see what happens with them. I think there's still a lot of changes that need to be made with those two teams. The big one is Inter. I don't see Inter unless they get some crazy injuries and they have to reshuffle things. But right now, Inter has a super team. I think we can officially say that with the addition of Taremi and Zielinski, Inter now in Italy, they are a super team. And it will be the same shit again. Oh, you know what the other prediction I have is this. That all the shit people were saying about Pioli, they're going to be saying the same shit about Fonseca in 1 or 2 seasons. Don't forget about Bologna and Atalanta too. Good point. Bologna, I'm still curious to see what they're going to do. Obviously, they're losing big pieces. Xerxes and Calafiori, those are 2 big players that they lost. And Salah makers too. So they lost, and Thiago Motta, the coach, as well. They kind of like got torn to pieces. So we'll see. I think there's going to be a lot of changes there too. Let's see how they react to it. But you're completely right about Atalanta. They got. It looks like they're going to get better. So far, they brought Zaniolo. That's a really good signing. It's going to be a really good signing. A lot of people are going to eat their words probably regarding Zaniolo this upcoming season. But they're just such a solid squad. Gasperini, his system, his mentality. They're just such a solid squad. And they live in this really weird space where the players don't have pressure. Atalanta has this advantage that they don't have the obligation to be the best. And it really makes it easier for the players to live and to breathe. Obviously, at Inter, Juventus, and Milan, it's much different. There's an obligation there to be the best. But Atalanta is this really weird pocket. They already have the mentality of an elite team. They have a system which is elite. and they can go to Europe and play against any fucking team. It doesn't matter, and they don't care two shits. Not an inch of. They don't. They have no fear of anybody. It's a really weird system. It's a really weird pocket they live in. Remember Miranda? We were linked with him in January. Now he signed with Bologna as a free agent. Okay, Miranda was good. I remember him. I guess that's who replaces Calafiori. I mean, Calafiori was used mostly as a center back, but he was a left back. Miranda is good. I like Miranda. That's a good signing. I thought Miranda would have been a good signing for Milan as well, actually. Bologna had their dream season, back to where they belong now. Yeah. So, they got, 20... And they didn't even get that much money from Xerxes, because half of it goes to... No, from Calafiori. Half of the Calafiori money goes to Basel. But Xerxes, they're not getting paid in full, though. They're getting paid in rates. I think they're getting paid around 15 million for the next 3 seasons, something like that. Well, Soriano, we'll see what Soriano is all about. If Bologna can maintain their status, then good job for Soriano. Roma, interesting what Roma is doing. So obviously there's the Abram situation. Abram might want to go. He's being linked with us. That'll be very interesting signing if we can bring in Abram. I saw some fans complain about Roma and the signings. It seems like they're getting a lot of these smaller players, and they're complaining that they have a lot of small players. I know they just got Enzo Lafi, who is actually a very good player, Enzo Lafi. I saw him a while ago. Very interesting regista. Similar to a Lobotka kind of player. I would say that kind of player. That's a good signing. And then they just got another player. I can't remember his name, but another short guy. And so I see the fans saying, Dybala, Baldanzi, Enzo Lafi, this guy, that guy, they're all short. Interesting thing that just came across. I don't know what's going to happen with Roma. I have no clue. This season, I totally got it wrong last season with Roma. I thought they were going to have this really strong mentality change, but it didn't happen. Actually, it happened to Inter instead. And this season with Roma, I honestly don't know. I have no idea what Roma is going to look like. And I don't know what Lazio is going to look like under Barone. I don't know what Lazio is going to look like under Barone. The thing is this, that these teams, they might have a great season, and then the next season they'll fall off. So the season that Napoli won the Scudetto, Lazio had a great season, and they had a way better season than we did. They were super good, and then the next season they fell off. So you don't know. Maybe next season they're going to be again almost really good, and they can be a problem. So these teams here are very unpredictable. They can be good one season and shit the next season. So we don't know. We will see. But yeah, as of right now, guys, the market so far has been won by Inter with players that they got in January, guys. They didn't even buy these players today. They already had these players since January. And here we are 2 weeks in the Mercato, and these guys are already in front of everybody else. They are operating on a completely different stratosphere. We can be here talking about, wow, we're Milan fans, and we got to... No, let's fucking tell the truth. Let's not be fucking cheerleaders. Let's tell the truth. The truth hurts. The truth hurts. That's a problem. We want to be cheerleaders and say, oh, it's Milan and this and that. No, guys, unfortunately, the truth of the matter that today the market has already, right now, the market has been won by Inter 6 months in advance. 6 months in advance. We tried to get Buongiorno and Zirkzee for 6 months, and that completely failed. So we went on to try to get a player that was super easy to get. And here's Inter with two players, a player that we tried to get desperately last season, Taremi, and they got him for free, and Ben Zielinski, one of the best midfielders in Italy. Zielinski is one of the fucking best midfielders in Italy. Technical, he's a beast in that department. Zielinski, Barella, Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu, Frattesi, Aslani, nobody has that in Italy. They have become a super team. We're going to see another season of Inter dominating everything, guys. It is what it is, and I don't play the games of hope and all that bullshit. I don't have time for that. If Milan had a team, or if Milan was operating in a way that made me believe that we were a top G's, then that's what I would say. Well, that's not the case, guys. That's not the case. Anyway, let's see. A lot of things can change. A lot of things can change. A lot of things can change. I mean, Inter right now is just too strong. It's too strong to be real. There's no way they can maintain this. There is no way they can maintain this level of strength. There is no way. I refuse to believe that Inter is going to be able to maintain this level of strength throughout the market. They have to lose some pieces. Either Çalhanoğlu, Lautaro Martinez, some of these guys have to go, because it is not fair if it can maintain this level of strength going into next season. It's not fair, and it also doesn't make sense. How are they doing this? I thought Inter was supposed to fucking collapse. I thought Inter was supposed to, go nuclear explosion. How are they doing this shit? How are they fucking doing this? Milan is in a comfortable zone for unhappy players who want to restart somewhere else. Yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right. Absolutely correct about that. Yeah, we see it a lot with the Chelsea players and Morata. Yeah, we just saw with Morata, Giroud. Yeah, 100%, 100%. The Atalanta number 6 is really good. Emerson, is it Ederson or Emerson? I think it's Ederson. Yeah, I agree with that. He looked good. I think he was one of the best ones in his position during this season. I didn't notice much of him until people pointed him out to me. Then I looked at him and I saw how he was performing. I saw his stats, and yeah, he's definitely one of the ones. XMB, because you read too much fake news, dude. Most of internet was on Sunday. No, listen to me, XMB. I know that. I know. I know what's going on with Inter. I follow every team very closely. I know exactly what's going on with Inter. I know the way Inter is completely different, but I know that the debt was with Sonning, not with the club. I was even telling people that. If Milan continue being a mediocre team who doesn't get quality players to compete, if Milan continue being a mediocre team who doesn't get quality players to compete, our star players will probably think of leaving for a more ambitious project. Yes, and that's another issue. That's another issue that we need to contend with. Now, Theo Hernandez is going to be the key for this. Theo Hernandez is going to be the key for this. They're going to either renew him this season, this market, or sell him. The last reports are saying that they're going to renew him at the end of the market. So obviously that means that they're going to wait to see what happens. Theo Hernandez is probably going to be the player that Milan might sell. If they're going to sell a big player, it is probably going to be Theo Hernandez. And if he does stay, then you can start to think that maybe big players can continue to stay. The issue with Theo Hernandez that I have is very simple. Theo Hernandez right now is considered to be the best in his position, the number one. And there are two clubs that are potentially after him, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. Both of these clubs are extremely, extremely way more ambitious football-wise than what Milan is. Obviously, these clubs every single year go into competition for two purposes: winning the domestic league and winning the Champions League. That's it. There's no qualms about it. That's how those two clubs operate. That is the kind of markets those two clubs do. My question is this. Theo Hernandez is coming to an age where now he is in his prime, going into his athletic prime. The best years of his athletic career are coming up right now. The next 5-6 years are going to be the most important years for him. My question is this: how is he going to choose to play for money ball and algorithm ball over Real Madrid or Bayern Munich hunt for glory in the Champions League? How is he going to choose? Yeah, I'm going to play for Giorgio Furlani and Jerry Cardinale and their sustainability project over Real Madrid and Bayern, two clubs that focus on winning trophies, and that's how they operate. They operate to win trophies. They operate to be the best in the world. That is my only question I have. And we will see. We will see soon. But that is the big question I have. Why would Theo Hernandez pick Moneyball, algorithms, sustainability over the ambition of those other teams? That's all. That's what I want to know, and we will find that out. If Milan continue being a mediocre team, oh yeah, Roy, that means anything can happen. Ibra words. Next season, Juventus Napoli could be a serious competitors for Scudetto. Maybe, yeah. Inter are league above Milan. We have become, as you say, Roy, a Mickey Mouse club. Milan are a joke. Yeah, unfortunately, operating this way to me is a joke. To me, is a joke because we should be the big dogs because we've always been the big dogs, not just in Italy but in Europe. And Milan can do that. The thing is, like, in order to do that, you need to have courage to do it. Courage, but that is not important because courage doesn't put yachts on the pier that you own. Courage doesn't do that. You know what puts yachts on the piers that you own around the world? Financial stability and keeping the numbers in green. That's what gets you the yachts. Courage is no good. Milan still need a solid midfielder and goal getter. Morata have been the best goal getter. Morata never been the best goal getter. Yeah, Milan has a lot of issues that they need to contend with. So we'll see. As far as Inter goes, yeah, right now they have a very strong roster. It's almost crazy to me to think that they can maintain this roster. If they can maintain this roster, it's going to be just a repeat of last season. It's going to be a repeat of last season. Yeah, But overall, guys, not to sound too pessimistic, Morata at the end of the day is a good replacement for Giroud. He is a good replacement for Giroud. Um, as far as the numbers, they should be pretty similar to Giroud. Milan operates just the right way. That is their way. Those in charge, not how we. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and all credit to them. They have achieved their objectives. They're happy. Now they're sailing. They're sailing. They're good. They have their smiles are ear to ear. Roy, you railed sporting people running the sporting aspect of the club, not financially safe. Yeah, of course, of course, of course. Hey, Roy, you're alive. Well, I'm work for the first time since watching. What's up, bro? Fazil. Yeah. As far as Napoli goes, I want to talk a little bit about Napoli again. Napoli is interesting because it looks like Osimhen is on his way out, and they want to replace Osimhen with Lukaku, the Conte Lukaku connection again. Obviously, for me, that's a downgrade. I mean, I think that's a downgrade. But the X factor here becomes Conte. Again, I'm not so convinced about Napoli's Conte right now. Conte's Napoli. I do like a Buongiorno Spinazzola. That's definitely an improvement on the defense. That's a great improvement on the defense, actually. But we got to see what they do with Vicha. Is he going to stay? They're really trying to convince him to stay. He wanted to leave, actually. The father of Vicha was pushing to leave. And he's right. The father was like, yo, my son is one of the biggest badasses player in Europe, and he's playing a team that in one season had 4 different coaches. This is not good for my son. Yeah, the father was right about that. But I think with Conte, things can stabilize. But we got to see if he stays there. There's a chance also might stay in Napoli. Yeah, there is for sure. There is for sure. And then we have the Chiesa conundrum. There were reports that came out a few days ago that Milan is interested in Chiesa. Chiesa is a great opportunity right now. He's on his way out of AC Milan. Now, there's another report that came out regarding Inter and Chiesa. Right now, Chiesa is being connected to Napoli, Roma, Inter, and Juventus. So let's talk about the Roma one. Roma has an agreement with Juventus over the price of the player, and also there is good relationships between Chiesa and De Rossi. But what is coming out is that Chiesa is looking for a more ambitious project. The word on the street is that Chiesa likes Conte. Conte wants Chiesa at Napoli, and Chiesa is waiting for Napoli. But there's also Milan is interested in Chiesa. And then there's the other one that just came out recently. Marotta wants Chiesa at Inter, but he wants him for free, the Marotta style. So if Chiesa stays with Juventus until January, Marotta can sign him for free in January. And that's another thing that came out. Then there is Bayern Munich also interested in Chiesa, and he's waiting for that. So I'm very curious to see what happens with Chiesa. Chiesa right now is one of the best players in Italy. He's on a deal. He can be free in 6 months, or you can get him right now for 20 million. So we'll definitely see what happens with Chiesa. This is a very interesting operation to me. If Fonseca gives the tactical balance that we didn't have the last 2 years, that's a good first step in the right direction, in my opinion. VAR is not suited for Conte's system. He should leave. I don't know how much would Inter need a player like Chiesa if they don't play with a proper attacking winger. Chiesa is not suited for Inzaghi's system. Milan would be more suitable for him. Okay, so let me Yeah, obviously, if he can achieve a tactical balance, in my opinion, also would be better. Well, let's see if he can do that. It depends here because Chiesa, I mean, Guevara, obviously with Conte, you have to do more work. But Guevara, with the national team, with the Georgian national team, works his ass off. So he does have a work rate. With the national team, Kvaratskhelia plays as a second striker. He essentially plays in the center. He doesn't play as a winger. So we saw that Kvaratskhelia can play in the center, and he was actually very successful in the center. But what I suspect Conte is going to do is going to be the 3-4-3. He's going to play with a 3-4-3 because or a 3-4-1-2, which is similar to what he did in Tottenham. He was playing, or sometimes also in Chelsea. And in a 3-4-3, you can have Kvara play on the right and do what he does on the right. So I think that he can play in Conte's system if he plays a 3-4-3. In a 3-5-2, I don't know. You know, you have to play him as a second striker, but he did play as a second striker with Georgia. But in a 3-4-3, he keeps on playing in his usual position. I don't know how much you would Inter need a player like Chiesa if they don't play with proper attacking wingers. Chiesa is a little bit more difficult to fit in Inzaghi's system. You'd have to play him as a second striker. Yeah, you'd have to play him as a second striker, and so far we've seen him do that with Allegri. I mean, that's what he essentially played. But yeah, maybe that piece is a little bit more difficult to fit in. Var is a versatile player. You can play more centrally. That's what Lau should do too. Yeah, it's probably a 3-4-3. I think that's what he's going to eventually play because that's what he was. That's what he's been doing. He's been doing that formation for a while. Bringing in Buongiorno gives him the ability to go three at the back, and then Spinazzola as your fourth man. Fuck. Only Theo Hernandez is better in Italy. If you're gonna use a wing back, Spinazzola in a 3-4-3 is fucking most perfect thing you can get. But yeah, Napoli, we'll see. We'll see because there's going to be a lot of changes on Napoli. I think they're going to be strong. Uh, I think they're going to be strong, but there's going to be a lot of changes there. You know, changes sometimes take a little bit of time to settle. You know, for example, Pioli. Pioli, a good example is actually what Pioli last season had this idea of playing this 4-3-3 with Calabria going in the middle, and there was all these interchanges happening, and the formation then looked a certain way. And that's what he worked on the whole summer. But then, as soon as we played against Inter, all of that shit went to bed, and he had to change everything. So you know, like sometimes a coach will spend 2 months preparing a system, and then when the season actually starts, he gets fucked, and then he has to figure something new out. You know, these things can happen to the best coaches. Yeah, today, if I were to just look at it from a very pragmatic and logical line, you got to say Inter. It's the same coach. The team is still fairly young. I mean, they're more experienced than other teams, but they're not. It's not an old team. You know, it's not an old team. They have some elements that are old, but it's the same coach, same system. They added two more players that could be starters in any team in Italy. I think it's them. I think it's going to be Inter again. So we'll see what happens. If we had Conte, I wouldn't care what system he'd use. He transform players mentally, and I'd be happy with that. Don't want to see pussies wondering. Yeah, that's his strength. That's what he does. He can turn. He can actually turn reindeers into, you know, some kind of warrior. He has the ability to do that, and he's one of the best at doing that, actually. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. I'm very curious to see what happens. Morata is a good signing. Is a signing that replaces Giroud. Let's see what we do. And lastly, let's talk about the U19s. There's a lot of Milan in the U19. The Euro just started. It started on Monday. Italy won the first game 2-1. And Magni was a starter. Zeroli was a starter, I believe, and Bartesaghi was a starter. The other players that are in the team that weren't starters are Camarda and Sia. Later, ciao, Carmelo, peace out. The other players that were not starters were Camarda and Sia, but they did play. Zeroli got the winning goal. Italy looked good. It's an interesting competition. It's probably going to be I don't know. Italy are the current champions, so we're going to see if they can defend the title. But it doesn't matter who wins these tournaments. It's really about the development of the players. Winning the tournaments is just a cherry on the top, really. They can win the tournament for sure, but I don't know about, maybe there are other teams that are good too. Regardless of that, good stuff from what I'm seeing. The big player that needs to be spoken about is Pafundi. Pafundi, 18-year-old, 18-year-old, and very good player. And he completely dominated the team, Norway. He got the 2 assists. His first assist was absolutely incredible. Second assist, a beautiful corner kick straight on Zaroli's head. He had 2 amazing shots from outside of the box, hit the crossbar both times. Just beautiful shots. He is a gem. He is one of the best players coming up in Italy. We saw him in the U20 World Cup. He was great. He played great against Brazil. He had the winning goal against Korea in the semifinal. And he is the star player. I think him and Camarda are probably going to be 2 of the players that we're going to see in the future of the national team. But if I were Milan, I'd be looking at this player Pafundi and see if I could get him and integrate him. He's with Udinese. He just had a season in Switzerland. Now he's back on loan. We'll see how he does. But anyway, it's an interesting team. Another interesting player is an Inter player, actually, Di Maggio, who scored a beautiful goal. He looks good too. He's 19 years old, so he's another interesting player to look at. Magni, the Milan player, the fullback, had a good game, despite a really poor game in the final of the Youth Champions League. He had a really good game against Norway. So that was good to see. Bartesaghi is really good. Bartesaghi, I think, is going to be the next line of big defenders coming up in Italy. He's part of that family. I hope. At least that's what we're looking. That's what I'm looking at. Then other players in that team that are interesting. There are a few others. Mane, who plays for Dortmund, for the Dortmund youth national team, the U19 team. Interesting defender. Then, yeah, it's really the Pafundi show. It's really about Pafundi. That's the guy that if I was Milan, I would try and bring to Milan. Pafundi, interesting player. Next game is going to be on Thursday, so we'll see how they do on Thursday, and then there's the last game, and then straight into the semifinals, then into the finals. So let's see. The other teams that could possibly the under-19s play tomorrow. Italy plays on Thursday. Well, I guess yeah, tomorrow. You're right. It is Wednesday. I thought it would. Yeah, you're right. They play tomorrow. Correct. Um, yeah, interesting team. Conte is a drama queen. It's interesting to see how Durant is in contribution. Must be full of drama. Yeah, for sure. For sure, Conte is very intense. Conte is definitely not a long-term coach. He's a good coach to have for 2 years, 3 years maximum. Because players just stop following him. Also, I'm noticing a little bit of that from Fonseca. He's very intense, right? He's screaming at players, very intense. Um, I'm suspecting that there's going to be a good reaction from the players in the beginning, especially because players need to kind of convince the coach that they're worthy of the coach, and they need to, show the coach that they're going to work hard. They need to fight for their spots. Um, but the problem is, and this is something that I've also experienced when I coached at any level, honestly, at any level, what happens is that once, 1 year, 2 years go by, and the players know that they have their starting spot, there tends to be a lowering in intensity. If now that didn't happen under Berlusconi's Milan, because every market the first team players were getting tested. Right, you got Rui Costa. Okay, next market, here comes Kaká. I remember Nesta was talking about it. He fought the first year he joined Milan. He was like, okay, well now here I am. I won the Champions League. This is easy. And then what does Milan do the next season? They get Stam. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, fuck, okay, I need to work for my spot again. So we're not seeing any of that happening at Milan. We don't see that at all. So the moment that Fonseca is going to have his starting 11 and he's going to figure out who the players are, the intensity is going to drop again. And that's why some of these teams never become trophy teams. I mean, look at Inter, right? Now you have Taremi and Zelinski. Yeah, there's some players there. They're going to be like, okay, I got to fucking work to keep my spot, right? Taremi, guys, if Taremi can do what he did in Portugal, in Italy, you got to watch out who plays there. Thuram has to fucking watch out now with Taremi in the team, because Taremi is no joke. He can score a shitload of goals, what he was doing with Porto was incredible. That's why we wanted to get him. Men Zelinski is a wonderful midfielder. So, this is why you need to always refresh teams with good players, because that's what keeps the intensity up. When Leao is walking on the pitch, he knows that he doesn't need to do anything. He's always going to be the starter. And that's one of the problems right now with this way of doing the market. It doesn't. So yeah, I see a lot of people online looking at videos of Fonseca screaming and getting the players to work, this and that. It's all nice and good and dandy right now because it's new. I see a lot of comments, people saying, well, this is what Pioli was. No, Pioli was doing that as well. Pioli was doing that as well, especially in his first season. But all that intensity and all that shit, it all dies out and fades out from season 2 to... And in fact, the coaches that are long-term coaches don't even do that. Because they don't need to do that. Like Ancelotti can stay with a team for many years and keep on winning. He doesn't need to fucking yell at players and tell them to fucking be animals and all that crap. It's intelligence, it's management, it's a whole bunch of things. But again, I think the team is going to play well in the beginning of the season. I'm expecting the team to have energy, electricity. It is a new coach. The players want to show what they're worth. They want to win their spots on the team. The defenders, we know the only players that have a secure spot is Theo Hernandez, Mike Magnan, and Leao, really. Even Tomori maybe doesn't even have a secure spot anymore. Who knows how Chow now develops? And Gabbia coming back. Gabbia was our best defender after when he came back last. So yeah, the defense, they're all going to be fighting for their spot, and there's going to be a lot of intensity there. The midfield, who the fuck knows what the midfield is going to look like? They're all going to be fighting for their spot. Chukwueze has to fucking challenge Pulisic. I mean, is Chukwueze just going to sit on the bench again the whole season? What? He has to challenge Pulisic. The attack, we'll see. I mean, I think Morata. I think they're not going to get anything better than Morata. I think Morata is the best they're ever going to get. I mean, if Fulkrug comes to Milan, Morata is starting. The majority of players that they could think of, I suspect Morata would start instead of. And I'm not saying that's bad. Yeah, I think Morata is a good signing, guys. Morata is a good signing. If Inter would have gotten Morata, I would be saying that's a good signing. That's good market. So I'm going to say the same thing about Milan. Like, this is a good signing. It's a good signing. I'm expecting him to do well and to score goals and to. I'm not expecting him to do what Osimhen did when he won the league. I'm not expecting him to be a guy that scores 25 goals in a season. I'm expecting him to do what Giroud did. And if he can do what Giroud did, then good. Then good. Then good. Okay, so let's see. Are there any other subjects that I might be missing here? I do think that if Federico Chiesa goes to Roma, that's pretty disappointing in my opinion. I think that's a major downgrade for him. I hope he doesn't go to Roma, actually. If he goes to Napoli, I think that would be good. If he comes to Milan, I would be so happy if he comes to Milan. That would be amazing if he comes to Milan. Yeah, and of course, the other thing is that Milan is not going to have any Italians at all playing. Well, whatever. That doesn't matter anymore. It's not even part of the discussion. Milan is not a... Yeah, whatever. But yeah, Chiesa for 20 million, great deal. Like, why would you pass on to that? Like, why would you pass on that? Okay, well, yeah, so we'll see what happens with Fofana next. We'll see what happens with Emerson Royale. We'll see what happens with Pavlovich and Fulkrug, or the next striker. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 other players that Milan should be signing from now until August. We know they want to get a right back because we saw it with Emerson Royale. We know they want to get a left-footed center back because we're seeing it with Pavlovich. We know that they want to get a more muscle, defensive-minded, just muscle player in the midfield with Fofana, and we know that they want to get another striker. So the blueprint for the market is there. They wanted to get 5 players total as the core of their market, and these are the players: 2 strikers, a midfielder, a center back, and a right back. And then the market becomes fluid, and they can get other things. So we'll see. One so far, 1 down, 4 to go, and we'll see how they do. We'll see how they do. The friendlies are coming up. So we're going to start to see how Fonseca plays and how he interprets his football. And unfortunately, we're not going to see Camarda in the friendlies. This would have been a great opportunity to see Camarda in the friendlies. Maybe more so in August, we might see Camarda in the friendlies, but Camarda, after the Euro 19s, I suspect is going to be given a break because he's had no breaks at all. He has gone from tournament to tournament to tournament with no breaks. So I'm expecting that after the U19 is done, Camarda is going to be given time off. Also because they don't want to fucking injure him. Like that, the management would be so stupid. Which sucks because I think Camarda would have been nice to see in these summer friendlies, to see what he looks like playing against these big European teams and playing also, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. So we would have a good gauge on what happens to him. What's happening to Calabria? Why do we need a right back? So Calabria's contract is about to expire, and it seems like they haven't found an agreement on the contract. And Calabria is asking for a substantial increase in salary. And because Calabria does not get any, now but none of them do. But yeah, Calabria does not get the tax discounts. There was no decree with him. So I think he wants to go from 2 million to 4 million, something like that. So that means that's almost 8 million, 7 million gross. I don't think the club wants to do that. I think the club wants to keep. They don't think Calabria is worth the 4 million. So that's what we have so far as regards to Calabria. We will see. We will see what happens to him. Milan does need to get some Italians from the quotas. So I'm not sure who we're going to get. Also, there's Terracciano there. It looks like Kalulu has impressed Fonseca, according to the reports coming out of Milanello. Looks like Kalulu is probably going to be the starter. At least this is what they're reporting so far. On the right, Kalulu is less offensive than Calabria, so I think he is going to be more like the third center back. He's going to be the balance maker. At the end of the day, I think he's going to play almost exactly the same as Pioli. I think the changes are going to be very minimal. Very minimal. We'll see. We'll see what kind of mentality he installs in the players. I think that's the thing that I'm the most curious about right now. I want to see what kind of mentality he installs into the players, and I'm curious to see what Leao looks like under another coach. Now, we've seen Leao under Martinez with Portugal. He's even worse. He was even worse. He works even less. With Martinez, Leao is even, his attitude, his demeanor is even worse than what we saw, what we criticized him for in Serie A. Actually, very strange about Leao is I remember watching the last game before they got eliminated on the penalties. And in overtime, when they were doing a huddle, and all the players were focused on the coach. I was paying attention. There was only one player that was not looking at the coach. He was looking around. Sometimes he would look at the coach, and as soon as the coach would look at him, that player would turn around. It was Lau. Lau is it's got such a strange demeanor. I think he doesn't like being spoken to. He doesn't like it when people tell him what to do. I think he takes it. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, if you have a chance to go back and look at those huddles they do um, between the halves, the overtime halves, where the camera shows the huddles and the coach is talking to everybody in a circle. Everybody's super focused. They're all paying attention to what the coach is saying. There's only one guy that is not even huddled down. He's not even looking. It's Leao. So I'm curious to see what he does. How Fonseca, if Fonseca can give him a little bit more of a fighting spirit, a little more work hard kind of mentality. We'll see. Obviously, Leao in Italy now has found his feet. He's going to score tons of goals. He's going to, obviously Leao now feels comfortable in the Serie A. So I'm expecting another good season from Leao. Most likely, we're going to see more or less the same stuff, most likely, but we will see. We'll see. As far as a big mentality change, I don't know. I don't know if Milan is going to have a big mentality change. I'm very curious to see that. I'm very curious to see if Milan is going to have a big mentality change. If you look back to Inter, what really got Inter that mentality change was reaching the finals of the Champions League and almost winning it. I mean, they gave Manchester City a run for their money. I think that kind of gave them the the self-awareness. I don't know if something like that can happen to Milan this year. We'll see. It should be interesting. We will find out. Okay, anyway, that's it for today. Late stream. I want to talk about Morata, and we'll see. We'll go live and talk about the other operations. But yeah, first signing, official signing of the season. Morata is a Milan player. A good signing, a good replacement for Giroud. So we'll see you next time, guys. Have a good one. Peace out. Forza Milan. Ciao.